It looks like Blizzard finally put out a post talking about the next patch of Burning Crusade and what they're gonna do with some raid testing and what their plans are. So next patch of Burning Crusade is coming out May 14th. It's gonna be tier 5. That's Serpentshrine. Oh wait, actually, you know what? Before we get started, I gotta make sure to do that. We're doing a WoW video. We gotta activate the portal. So let's continue. Tier 5, Serpentshrine, Cavern, Tempest Keep. Tier 5 is a very, very fun raid tier. There's gonna be a lot that opens up in the game. There's gonna be some new dailies that open up, but they finally put out a post. They wanna talk about some things. Let's go over it. So there they are, Kael'thas, Lady Vosh, the last 2 bosses of Tempest Keep, SSC of Serpentshrine Cavern. So they put out a post here, and this post came from Kaivax. We love Kaivax. Kaivax is big time. Kaivax says, later this week, Burning Crusade Anniversary public test run will open for testing the Overlords of Outland update. This update will include all the content and features players expect from the second phase of Burning Crusade. So actually gonna open up a testing period this weekend. They're gonna let us test the raids Friday, May 1st to Sunday, May 3rd. Over the last couple months, we've carefully reviewed player progress and completion data for the first raid tier of Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. We found that post-nerf difficulty has met and in some ways exceeded our expectations. We've concluded that the upcoming test of the Eye and the Serpentshrine Cavern on the PTR will use a similar post-nerf raid difficulty. So you guys know me, I'm like a pretty big hater of this. I really don't like that they did post-nerf raids. Post-nerf raids, or they made the raids too easy. That's pretty clear. When they say we found the post-nerf raid difficulty has met and in some ways exceeded our expectations. I think Blizzard does this thing, man, where they believe something. They use data. Here's the truth about data, gentlemen. All right, listen up close. Data is just facts used to hide the truth, okay? You can take that data and you can decipher it any which way that you want to decipher it, and you can make it mean whatever you want to make it mean. That's what I think, okay? So what they're saying is way more people are playing Burning Crusade than we thought. So they're attributing that to the post-nerf raid difficulty. But what I think people are not happy with the post-nerf raid difficulty. I think some people were at first, but people got bored pretty quick. I know we had a number of people like fall off and be like, oh, okay, this is kind of boring. So they want to test the post-nerf raids this weekend. To be fair, there's a lot of little problems that we've talked about. I've had the chance to give some feedback to Blizzard. I've given it to them. One of them was there's not enough loot, which actually it looks like they have addressed. Now, I wish they had done this before the patch. They need to be more agile with like, hey, something is wrong and they fix it. And there's other problems like this too. Like the way the arenas are working right now, there is an issue with MMR, even at the higher ratings, right? I know how ELO works. I know how MMR works. The more you play, if you win more than you lose, eventually you will just go up. But what's happening right now is it's demoralizing to new players who are trying to PvP because they're not getting a tangible development as they're PvPing. Separate discussion. We'll continue that later. Let's talk about what they're doing for the next phase. And it does look like they're gonna add another piece of tier gear. So they actually did this originally, and I think this is good because it incentivizes people to keep running it. But High King Malgar will now drop 3 tokens for tier 4 shoulders. Will now drop 3 tokens for tier 4 legs, basically across the board. Instead of only dropping 2 pieces of tier, they're going to make it drop 3 pieces of tier, which I think is a great change because you're on an accelerated timeline. Now, they did say they're on an accelerated timeline. Or even on an accelerated timeline, I feel like the current phase has gone on too long. I thought middle of April was gonna be the end of phase 1. That's what I expected. So literally like a month, maybe 3 weeks faster is when this patch should have been, in my opinion. I think that they took a long time on this one, but hopefully they're doing this now too. They're adding another token for the next tier as well. So hopefully whenever things speed up, it'll be better. But the first phase of Burning Crusade is kind of the worst one. I think a lot of people don't really realize that. Karazhan is really cool. It's very nostalgic to a lot of people. There's a lot of mystique around Karazhan. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's fun, but it's like a really long UBRS. As far as 25 mans go and building a guild and managing a roster, it is super, super hard. That's one of the biggest problems with Burning Crusade is the flagship content of the first patch is a 10-man raid. Yeah, you have Gruuls, yeah, you have Magtheridons, but those are kind of like Onyxia's Lair. They're just like short little one-offs. Whereas the long raid is a 10-man, and it makes it really hard to build around that. It makes it hard to build around having a 25-man raid cut into 2 separate raid groups. Now you have an extra 5. So if you have 2 25-mans, you take 5 from this raid and 5 from this raid, and then you smack them together. It's annoying. And I do think that they're actually doing some good things to account for the times, like adding an additional piece of tier gear. Oh, not only that, excuse me, Hydros will drop 3 different epic pieces of gear instead of 2. So they're not only adding 1 more piece of tier, they're adding 1 more additional piece of loot off of some of these big bosses, like Hydros, Lurker Below, Morgrim Tidewalker. Interesting. Kael'thas is gonna drop 3 tokens. Alar will drop 3 different pieces of epic gear. Okay. So either they're going to drop 1 more token, and if they don't have a token, they're gonna drop 1 more piece of gear. Great change, actually. We plan to make other phase 3 loot changes to heroic dungeon bosses in phase 3. I think that they should do some of this stuff now. I think that they need to address heroics now. Let's talk a little bit about things that they should do before then. They should address heroics now. What are some ways to address heroics? I think a gem should drop off of every boss. An epic gem should drop off of every boss. Either a high chance to drop off of every boss, or like a higher chance to drop off of every boss, or it just guaranteed drop. And each different heroic has like certain types of gems that can drop. I think you could even go as far as recalibrating what heroics drop, what epic gems, and make sure that each heroic has a gem that is good for a healer, a gem that's good for a tank, that's good for a caster DPS, that's good for a melee DPS, so that it incentivizes everybody to run these heroics and be able to get these gems. Now, currently those gems are unique. I'm literally just riffing at this point. Maybe there's a world, and maybe this is a bad idea, but maybe there's a world where you even take those gems and you don't make them unique. And if you don't make them unique, it makes, more players want to run more heroics with other players who might be leveling an alt, might be a new player to Burning Crusade, very similar in design to how they did Zul'Gurub back in the day. So you look at like the 1.7 patch in Vanilla WoW, and Zul'Gurub had some things that you wanted for the entire expansion, right? The head enchants, the leg enchants. Now you would have like fully decked out guys in like BWL, AQ, Nax gear even, and they would still run ZG for a chance at the mount, the enchants, and then new players, people would bring their alts in, they'd bring in a new character, and those guys can just basically like be a loot sponge and grab all the other stuff that they don't need. They need to address some of this stuff before phase 3, and I think that Blizzard should be way more, hey, let's hit it. You know, let's make a change, let's do it. You gotta be agile about these things, because an MMO is a living, breathing thing that you gotta care for. An MMO is like a 2-year-old baby, okay? And if you don't take care of this 2-year-old baby, it's gonna do everything humanly possible, everything that it possibly can to get itself killed. That's how 2-year-olds work. I don't know why. I don't have any personal experience, but I've heard it from everybody. You gotta figure this out, man. You gotta figure this out. You gotta take care of this thing. And I would really like to see them address some of that. The other thing that I would like to see them address is the Void Shatter, where you can take the Void Crystals and a Disenchanter. Is it Disenchanter and Alchemist? Whatever it is that you can take a Void Crystal and shatter the Void Crystal into 2 large prismatics, I think it needs to happen now to help balance the economy. Large prismatics are just through the roof. The cost of large prismatics are through the roof. They're hard to come by. Karazhan, so many people are running and clearing Karazhan, they're just getting a ton of epics, which, by the way, you're gonna end up having a bigger issue with this as more and more epics come about. Now with an extra piece of tier, with an extra piece of loot, it's not gonna be an issue immediately, but it's gonna be something that snowballs. Get ahead of it. Don't wait until the end of Burning Crusade. Don't wait until the later patches. They should add that now so that you can take all these void crystals that people have, people can shatter them, and it can balance the cost of void crystals and large prismatic shards, supply and demand. Because the way that these things are made, the way that these enchants are done, in the original design, void crystals should be harder to get than large prismatics. It's not the case. Supply and demand. Large prismatics are a lower tier of enchanting material than void crystal, so you need a lot of them, and maybe you'll have certain enchants that are like, yeah, you need like 10 large prismatics, but like 2 void crystals. By design, this screws up the entire economy whenever people are spam running Karazhan and they already have all their loot because they cleared it week 1. Again, account for the times. Don't wait until the end of the expansion to add this. Add it now. Don't wait till next patch to add this. Add it now. This is something that Blizzard absolutely needs to do because it helps balance the economy between the void crystals and large prismatics, and I think it's just gonna be better for everybody. There's a lot more, there's a lot of stuff. There's some PvP stuff to talk about. I'll kind of do like an Arena Season 1 recap video, probably talking about everything, kind of how Blizzard addressed PvP. Some things were very good. Some things I think were very bad. I really kind of expect them, I want to expect them to fix a lot of things in Season 2, but we'll see. So anyway, actually very good news. The next patch of Burning Crusade comes out May 14th. Raid Night's gonna be May 14th. Serpentshrine, Cavern, Tempest Keep, those are gonna come out. Tier 5 is gonna come out, and they're doing all these different things. And there's also gonna be raid testing Friday, May 1st through Sunday, May 3rd. So you're gonna have 3 days of raid testing where they're gonna throw out the post-nerf versions of the raids. So they're probably gonna be pretty easy or relatively easy. And we'll see what we're gonna get whenever it actually releases. So anyways, thank you guys for watching the YouTube video. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. I do literally everything on this channel. I mean, I posted on Twitter a screenshot of my YouTube channel earlier. And I'm like, does anybody else do this wide of a variety of content? I mean, I'm doing IRL, I'm doing general gaming stuff, I'm doing WoW, I'm doing it's actually ridiculous, but we do everything here. I hope you guys like it here. I'm live almost every day on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, of course. If you guys want to check it out, check out my live streams, EsfandTV. I'll see you guys later.